How do you cultivate inspiration?
I look around me. Inspiration comes from everywhere around you. Just taking a walk, you could get inspired by just, graffiti, down the street as you're walking, or, looking at a new ad on the street or on the side of a car. I get inspired by just the way the shapes are playing with each other, the way the colors are playing with each other. I also get a lot of surprisingly inspiration from music a lot. Whenever I'm designing and I want to get into a vibe or a mood, I play a particular music. Sometimes it's orchestra, sometimes it's Beethoven, sometimes it's Future. It's whatever, that gets me into the creative mood of what I'm doing. And I really get I get transported away with the music, and I'm just in my zone and I'm just creating. And thirdly, I look at other artists as well. I like to see what has been done, and usually it's because I want to go the opposite route. I like to design against the grain. So I like to see what other people have done. Like, say I'm designing a logo, I'm looking at what other similar logos might look like, and it's because I want to go the opposite direction of what is existing. I'm always trying to find, quote unquote, the gray area to design in, where it's something unique, something different, and it's not something you've seen before. So that's my design philosophy.
So just to push back on what you just said about you want to go the way of what other artists do, you believe that good artists,
Good artists still. If you end the sentence there, then it sounds bad. But if you continue that sentence to what it's really in the sense of like good artists do steal, but they do give credit. So if you get inspired by, all the greatest artists in the world get inspired by other artists. So I wouldn't say it's stealing, but it's if done right, you're showing respect to the people who came before you. You're learning from them. Like I said, all I do today, it's a mixture of everything I've learned, inspiration from and influence from different artists, people that have influenced me and shaped who I am today. So I wouldn't say I'm stealing from them. I would say I'm definitely, being inspired by their work. If you want to say it's stealing, I think stealing is when you take the work and you keep the credit for yourself, as if it was all you who came up with everything. That to me is where you steal. But I think inspiration, being inspired by other people and being able to emulate other people, I think it's great for art. It's great for the continuation of a type of art. Some of the arts that are kind of like disappearing now, pottery, for example. If more people emulated more pottery artists, maybe there'll be more, pottery art in general, so to speak. But it's kind of like a dwindling art because less people are doing it, and so less people are emulating previous people. So I think it's a balance. Credit is extremely important in the art world. I always give credit to, even no matter what, if it's music that I'm using, give credit to who you got the music from. If, I was inspired by a website, even if I'm telling the client, like, hey, this is where I got inspired from, I like the way this company was doing it, they're your competitors, and I'm gonna kind of keep some of the good things they're doing, but I'm going to design your brand in the way you want it to be, based on your principles, your vision, what you actually want your company to be like. But we can get inspired by what your competitors are doing, and so it all applies to, I guess, different sectors of design. And that word stealing does come up a lot, and I like to just make it clear, like, stealing is not good, but being inspired is definitely great.
Has there been a moment of setback that you
Yeah, COVID, a world pandemic is the top. So during the pandemic, which I think everyone thought it was not going to be as long as it was. I thought it was a great time for me to quit my professional career and just go full time. Be an artist, and the economy wasn't the best time to do that. I was living a comfortable life, working as a professional, and also making money from my hobbies. So but it was actually on the financial side maybe not a good time, but on the experience side, the levels of creativity, the people I met, the networking I was able to achieve, meeting other fellow artists, shooting across the country. I was all over the place. art took me to places I've never been before. Went down to Philadelphia to do a shoot. I've never been to Philly to party only, but I was back in Philly to actually do art and to do work. So that was fun. So I definitely grew a lot in my art experience over the pandemic, but I would say, maybe that was the hindrance. And that's what I quickly realized as artists, like we're not supposed to be quote unquote starving artists, so to speak. We do, need to eat. We all have families that we want to take care of. So, though I want to create art all day long, there's also a balance of like, here's my day-to-day responsibilities, and here's what I ultimately want to do as a person. So I've been finding that balance, and I think now, after the pandemic, coming into this new environment that we're in now, I think it's allowed me to have that experience, to knowing that I've done all this, really cool work. And now I'm back to that same balance of I have a, professional work, and I'm also creating art on the side.
So what advice do you want to give to young artists that is facing adversity in their artists?
Advice to younger artists. I would say you got to do it. And I know that's like hopefully that's like a short summary for a long spiel that I'm about to say, but you got to do it. You got to do what you want to do, no matter what type of art it is. I have a friend of mine who makes art with wine corks, and that's his unique thing. And, he's doing it. And that's just what you have to do. You have to show the world your work. You have to just do it. The world wants to see it. The world wants to see unique talent. There's literally shows that, for talent, people want to see talent. So that would be my advice. Like, no matter how slow, no matter how small, even if it's just little by little on the side, like I've done, I never went full-time besides in, during the pandemic, full-time being an artist. You can also, it depends on, the impact you're trying to make. You can, impact your family, and that's great enough. You can create art for your family, you can create art for your friends, and that's amazing enough. But you can also create art for the world and start to show the world what you can do. And there's so many different means this day to do so. You could just get TikTok and start making videos about what you do. And before you know it, it might take time, but eventually people will see your work and people will come see it.
How far do you know the artistic endeavor to go, and how do you keep yourself accountable to something?
So my ultimate thing, I keep saying it in the back of my head, is on my website. I want to design a better world. And I think that's overall action, just me as a person. I just feel like there's so many things that design could play a huge role in our environment. We could design better houses, we could design better, electric power grids, whatever it is. I just feel like we can design better things. Obviously, engineering has a huge role also to play in making designs come to life, but I do think overall that's where I'm heading. I'm interested in the environment. I'm interested in preserving nature. I'm interested in food. I'm interested in cooking food as art, showing the world my cultural food. I ultimately want to do stuff like that. So where do I, ultimately see myself ending up? I, one day want to have a studio space and just be a creative studio space, and just be creative and just solve problems and hopefully get someone to pay for them. But I just do think there are problems out there that, besides the money joke, that just needs to be solved. And I do feel like art plays a huge role in society in transitioning us into new worlds. If you look back in time, art kind of in a way defined eras. Like you could talk about like the Elizabethan era, I could never say the word right, and the type of art that was going on there, the Renaissance era, the type of art that was going on there. I feel like art has a nice way of summarizing what's going on in society. And you could different kinds of art. Even comedy has a way of talking about what's going on in life as it is. So that's where I ultimately want to be. I want to work with other creative minds as well. I sharply believe like two heads are better than one. So the more creative minds that we can pull together to solve some of just life's problems I think that's my dream ultimately.
How do you give back to your community?
I teach, so I give back to my community by passing on back the knowledge I've gained, all this experience I've gained from the photographers I've learned from the teachers I've learned from. I pass it on, and one of the joys of what I do professionally as an art director is art direct, and that's teaching younger designers and I won't say teaching, but passing on what I know, is whether it's shortcuts that I've learned from my time working with all this software. I'll pass that on. Is it, my design philosophy? If a designer is interested in trying to know how I go about problem solving, I pass on that knowledge. I don't hold on to what I know as a way of like feeling better than the next artist. To me, the more knowledge we share amongst ourselves, the stronger we all are. Iron sharpens iron is kind of another philosophy I believe in. So that's the way I give back. And one of my favorite moments of giving back, back in college, I did a volunteer program for this program called the Word on the Street newspaper. So it's a newspaper in Baltimore, and the homeless people can sell the newspaper and make profit off of it. And all the content, all the photography work, all the design, all of that is all volunteer work. And I was able to volunteer in college doing this actually. So I did some photography for the front cover of the magazine, which is pretty cool. But one of my favorite experience from the whole thing actually was, hearing stories about homeless people and, what got them to where they are, and teaching them photography. And you'll be amazed how, amazing some of them were. And I never followed up on it since I left college, but I think that was one of my favorite experiences, like passing on the knowledge of photography to someone and giving them a skill that they could use. And even if it was just a way for them to express themselves and to show, and you could see in the photographs they took, art and what their experience, their background, all of that stuff kind of showed up in their work. So that was a really cool experience for me, giving back to my community. So that was fun.
Thank you for having us, Mr. Sandra.
Thank you. I hope that was good.